So I had the idea, started plotting. What comes next? The outline. Outlining a novel is way more complicated than I thought it would be, mostly because there's so many different ways to outline a novel. That's the fun part. It kind of reminds you that you're not stuck with just one structure, one roadmap. You can kind of play with it and do whatever works best for you. That's what I've done. I've kind of taken bits and pieces from different outlines that I think fit best with my story, and I've kind of created my own outline. Some of the things in like a normal outline had to get shifted around. My outline does follow the 3-act story structure. I am roughly using an 80,000 word count goal. My first act is going to be around 20,000 words. Second act will be 40,000 words. And the third act will be another 20,000 words. The second act is split into 2 parts. I'm gonna go over what the traditional 9 parts are, and then I'm gonna go over my parts. Still follow the same structure. I've just added more detail, and I think I've flipped a thing or two to make it make a little bit more sense in my context. Act 1, you should have your setup, your theme, opening image. That's all going to be the first point. You want to meet the character, you want to know the world that they live in, and get a sense for their normal life. The second point would be your inciting incident. This is where the problem occurs, whatever the problem is. In my case, it's a murder. This part needs to absolutely disrupt your character's life. It's going to be like the catalyst that's going to push them into the rest of the novel. Point 3, often called a pinch point, a plot point. It's the end of Act 1, and it's going to be the turning point for the novel. The main character is going to be forced to make some kind of decision, and it's probably going to be the wrong decision. Whatever the theme of your book is, the fear-based decision that your character is going to make is going to be rooted in that fear. That's the end of Act 1, so Act 2. She's not a paid actor. However, she is a well-fed actor. So this takes up a lot of the book. This is going to be where a lot of your fun and games come in. But the first point of Act 2 is going to be your conflict, your rising action. Things are going to get harder and stakes should be rising. Point 2 is going to be your midpoint. This should include a major reveal, a shift in direction, sometimes a reversal of direction. The midpoint is going to change your character's understanding of what they're dealing with and what's at stake. Point 3 of Act 2 is the all is lost moment. This should be your character's lowest point. The character should feel lost, defeated, trapped, all the above. Which brings us to Act 3. The all is lost, I would consider external, the external battle. The beginning of Act 3 is going to be the dark moment, which I would consider the internal battle. Your character has lost everything, so they have to now understand why they've lost everything and understand that it was coming from inside the whole time. Tying back to your theme from the beginning, their fear about the world and how that fear has shaped this journey. Then you're gonna have the climax. I would say is a mixture of external and internal. This is your final showdown, your revelation. Your character is gonna face their conflict head on, in turn being changed by what all they've been through. Point 3 is your victory, resolution. This is gonna be the falling action. You'll have consequences of the climax, usually good, sometimes bad. Who knows what kind of story you're writing. But it should wrap up the story with a new normal, and this should be a different normal than the beginning normal. That's your standard outline, your 3 acts with 3 points within each act. The outline you're gonna see pretty much everywhere. My outline, I have combined a couple of different outlines. I picked and pulled from different ones to make the perfect outline for myself. Now, this could change, especially as I write, but for right now, with what I have plotted out, this is what I have for my outline. That was all wrong. Go back. Act 1 is my hook, my theme / presenting the crime. The next point I have is the setup. This is introducing the main character, her normal world, and how this crime is eventually going to launch her into a different world and why all this matters to her. The next point that I have in Act 1 is to offer suspects, which includes introducing friends, family, colleagues, all the people in her life. That could also have a motive. Might be a red herring, might be the criminal, who knows? I have 3 more points in Act 1. I'm telling you, I beefed mine up because the more structure I have, the easier it is for me to follow along. I have the inciting incident. This is gonna be what pushes her into deciding to become the amateur sleuth and solve this crime. Within that, I have like a sub point, which is the first fear-based decision, a point where you see why this matters to her. I want to keep the theme throughout. Then rounding out Act 1, I have my first pinch point. Now this could be something really small, it could be something really big, but basically it just needs to be a little bit of a complication. And we're into Act 2. Act 2 has less points right now because I've only started writing in Act 1. So I know a lot more of what's going to happen in Act 1 versus what's going to happen in Act 2. Like for right now, the outline is kind of vague and I will beef it up as we go. For Act 2, Part 1, which will be around 20,000 words, the first point is the investigation begins. Within that first point, my amateur detective is going to be making a step-by-step plan for how she thinks she's going to solve this crime. There should also be some more complications that will lead us to the second point of the first part of Act 2, which is a plot twist. Maybe a suspect will disappear, maybe some evidence will surface, who knows? But it's going to be a complication of some kind. Which brings us to Act 2, Part 2, the first plot point. We're gonna have some stakes raised. The character is gonna have to make another plan B because plan A didn't work out. There were too many complications, something went wrong, gotta have a plan B. The second point in the second part of the second act, we did it. Subplot development. I wanna make sure that I remember that my character is still avoiding her fear and still probably making not so great decisions based on that fear. The third plot point in Act 2, Part 2 is hidden motives revealed. This is pretty vague. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you everything in the story because then you won't want to read it. I just feel like it was a necessary point to put in the outline. Which brings us to Act 3, also 20,000 words. Act 3 will start out with a supposed victory. She's going to sleuth the heck out of Act 2 and think, I've got it. I know exactly what's going on here. And she's going to be so happy. And it's going to be great. Until the second plot point of Act 3, which is the disaster. Did she have the wrong suspect? Did she overlook a really important clue from before? What could have happened? I don't know. I know, but you don't know. But this disaster is going to bring us to Part 3, which is the dark moment. This will be where she is at rock bottom. She is at her lowest point. Just wants to give up. All her work has gotten her nowhere. Or so she thinks. Because following the dark moment will come the aha moment. This, within my story structure, is going to be the internal battle. She's going to figure out that this whole time she's been going about this the wrong way because she has been following her fear. After the internal conflict comes the external conflict. And the next plot point will be the climactic confrontation. She's already confronted her inner demons. Now she has to confront the external ones. And of course, I'm not going to say anything further. And the last point of Act 3 is victory! She's gonna be victorious, but that does not always mean a happy ending. You never know. The seventh point, and I just thought of this one right now as I'm making this video, should be the resolution. It's gonna tie up the loose ends, and we're gonna see how this journey has changed her and what her new normal is. Now that I have my outline all figured out, the next part of this journey is going to be note cards. I wanted these to be able to travel with me. I already have some note cards done. The yellow ones just say like the act. The pink ones have like the different plot points. And the blue ones are scenes. Be sure to keep watching because in my next video, we're gonna go over outlining using note cards. See ya!